Dobro jutro vsem skupaj. Lepo vas pozdravljam v imenu organizatorjev SRIP-a krožnega gospodarstva in Circular Business Academy. To je drugi del seminarja na temo trajnostnega poročanja in krožnih inovacij. Dovolite, da tudi predstavim kolege, ki so tu z menoj. Se ne pa takoj na začetku povem, da bomo to srečanje snemali, oziroma da smo že začeli in vse prosimo za soglasje in dovoljenje. Zato to nam omogoča, da bo tudi posnetek na voljo na naših spletnih straneh in na spletnih straneh SRIP-a krožno gospodarstvo. Prvi del seminarja je v angleškem jeziku, zato bom te preskočil v angleščino, upam, da me razumete. So good morning again. I'm switching to English. As I just have said, this first part is going to take place in English as announced. Before going straight into the topic, I would like to present my colleague Sebastian Zuzek, who is going to moderate this session today. We have our keynote speaker, Karin Huber-Heim, here with us. But before introducing her in more depth, I would like to welcome Nina Kovacic, representing SRIP networks for the circular economy in Slovenia, one of the very well functioning and vibrant innovation partnerships seated in Maribor, with whom we are organizing this three-modular course, and we really appreciate this partnership. Nina Kovacic, please, the word is yours.
Thank you. So I would like to welcome you and also say a big hi. I'm glad that you decide to come and join us in this seminar. As you already said, I'm from the main partner from the Strategic Research and Innovation Partnership for Circular Economy, also known probably more common as SRIP for everybody. Our SRIP is basically trying to sustainably increase the efficiency and competitiveness in the domestic economy, in the transition into circular economy. We're working on various focus areas such as secondary materials and more. If you have any more questions about this, you can ask me in chat or send me an email. So not to stall more time, I give the word back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nina. Certainly, all questions are welcome about what we are doing, about what we are thinking, how we support each other. It is meant to be a collaborative get-together, apart from being, of course, centered on sustainability reporting, a really important topic that has been occupying management boards and supervisory boards and entrepreneurs and financial institutions across the European Union, and not only, especially through these last months and years or two. So we are glad to have with us Karin Huber-Heim, who is our, I can, first of all, I would like to say, Karin, our dear friend and our faculty member of the faculty of the Circular Business Academy, with whom we will explore the process of developing sustainability reporting and how this can really help also the innovation process towards becoming a more circular organization. As you know, this course aims to be very interactive. So we're very happy if you switch on your camera, if you wave, if you give some signals, you know, if you disagree, if you ask questions. It's even allowed to interrupt the speaker. Apart from that, we reserved quite some time for your questions, so you're more than welcome to get engaged and get the most out of this seminar, and also help contributing others through your questions and comments. Karin is an internationally renowned expert in sustainability reporting. She's been consulting on this for a number of years, not only within Austria, her home country, but across the European Union and outside the European Union to financial institutions and industrial companies. She has a vast experience in this topic. Karin is also the director of the academic, or better to say, an academic program director at the University of Applied Sciences in Vienna. She directs the course on sustainable finance and responsible management. And Karin is also the director of the Circular Economy Forum Austria. So she's very central to the topic in our neighboring country. And last but not least, board member at the Global Compact Network in Austria. Glad to having you. Please, Karin Huberheim, the word is yours. I wish you a good seminar and be as contributing as possible. Karin, please.
Good morning. Thank you, Yuri, for the kind introduction. Good morning from Vienna to everyone who's joining. I will share my screen immediately and jump into sustainability reporting. As Yuri said, while I'm in the presentation mode, I may not be able to see you. So if there is a question, an immediate question, please just demute and jump in. And otherwise, there will be room for Q&As in the end. All right, so let's jump right in. Before we go into reporting on sustainability, let me give you an overview on the agenda. We will touch all those topics that are central to reporting from sustainability management, because this is actually the basis for reporting. You can only report on something you're doing. Otherwise, it's a status report that may not be looking the way one would like it to have. And then I will go into more detail into the several aspects of reporting. And at the end, I will present you a couple of best practice reports where you can get an idea of what a really good report is about and what it looks like. If this is okay for you, then I would just jump right in. And I would like to begin with the terms and definitions, because there are a couple of them around, and there is a bit of unclarity that I can see with companies from several aspects. So there is corporate sustainability, which is the corporation managing their sustainable topics in the context of sustainable development, which is not only about environmental aspects, but also about social aspects, also about governance aspects. So it contains all the fields of activity that are actually covered the same in corporate social responsibility. This is a concept and the term, the concept is actually from the, let's say, from the beginning of the millennium. It has had a lot of attention around 2011 when the ISO 26000, the standard for corporate social responsibility of organizations, was issued for the first time. It is a very holistic concept, but to be honest, the term CSR had been around for quite some time at that point, and therefore it was a bit diluted towards corporate giving, corporate philanthropy. The term social in it sort of distracted company from business sometimes, and they used it for actually philanthropy, sponsoring, etc. Activities, which is not the way it was meant to be, but that is the way it was applied with many companies. So today, actually, as a company, we speak about corporate sustainability, involving or looking into all the aspects, including human rights. And you will see that this is also very much asked for by international standards or European standards on sustainability and reporting. Also, the European Commission has changed the terms actually to sustainability or sustainable development or something like that, rather than using the term corporate social responsibility any longer. I mean, of course, as a company, you still can if it contains the right content. And the term ESG or ESG reporting, ESG criteria, you may be familiar with or you have heard already. This is the perspective of the investors, the perspective of banks and financial investors on a business to see how they manage environmental aspects of their business, social aspects of their business, and governance aspects of their business. It's all the same. So don't get distracted when you hear those terms. It's all the same. So some companies may have corporate sustainability management or sustainability reporting, and others may have ESG management or ESG reporting. And then there will be others who will have corporate social responsibility or CSR reporting. So don't get distracted or confused. It's all the same if the content is the same and covers aspects like the ones you can see on the right side of the slide. So this said, I will be using the term corporate sustainability here in this talk, because we, as I understood, most of you are from companies and from businesses, and this is the term actually that we use with businesses. But as I said, please feel free to use any term that matches your stakeholders' expectations. So what is sustainability management and why do you even bother to report on it? Because of course you can still do it without reporting. Some of the businesses still can, some others you will see will not be able to not report any longer. Sustainability management actually is the implementation or the integration into business of concepts and matching instruments to improve the company's performance in regard to environmental, social, and ethical aspects, as well as governance aspects, like, for example, anti-corruption issues or gender issues. You saw them on the slide before. So there are many aspects where we need governance, the leadership of the management here, providing a frame, a structure where the performance in environmental, social, and ethical aspects can even be done, can even happen. Because very often, if the governance, or always, if the governance is not in the right place or is not setting up the right frame for it and the right structure, this will not happen. Or it will always be like one little department doing something, producing a little marketing brochure, and that's it. So to really implement it, it's crucial to look into all the governance aspects a company is about, an organization is about, the way it is structured, the way they take decisions, the way the strategic movements forward into the future. This is something that governance is very much asked to perform here as well. So all these aspects need to be, as I said, in the decisions, in the activities, and very much in the core business. Let's say at least 98% of it needs to be in the core business. And because this gives you the perspective on the future of your business and how to innovate for a future that is coming, whether you like it or not. To cite Greta Thunberg, it's coming and it's already on its way. So this needs to be done in close cooperations with internal and external stakeholders. This is extremely important. We will get to the terms then, or to those concepts. What is it that I have to do with stakeholders? What does that mean? I will get to that a little bit later. And also the sustainability management needs to take care of short-term, but also long-term alignment between those objectives that are social, the environmental objectives, and the economic objectives. This, of course, also is a matter of leadership. This is a matter that the CEO, the CFO, the top management of the company needs to have very close to them, because it's their task. It's not the task of the sustainability manager alone. The sustainability manager or the management team, or however big a company is and however they set this up, is merely a coordination function between the internal and external stakeholders. So all of that really needs to be done actually by everyone in the company, and it needs to be in place in every department and in every function. So once this is done, what can reporting do for you or as a company, besides that you comply with law or regulations? You really, if you use this as a management tool, this goes way further or deeper into the company than any kind of campaigns, donations, or sponsoring or marketing reports. So when we talk here about the term reporting, it's always business and sustainability reporting in one, because this is what stakeholders, external stakeholders, even some internals may want to know about the company. So externally, you can ensure your social acceptance of the business, of your activities. You can promote sales and customer loyalty. It can strengthen your ability to innovate, which nowadays is extremely important, because you are developing your business into a sustainable future, and you sustainably develop not only the environment, but also your business and your business activities. All of that will strengthen the motivation of employees, because there is a purpose why we work for. For long generations, it was enough to pay people money and make them work. This no longer really is a motivation. It may be the cause why employees are going to work every day, but that doesn't mean that they are deeply engaged with what they're doing. And motivation comes from the engagement that an employee has with his job, with his activities, with his to-dos. Positioning as an attractive employer is certainly something that goes hand in hand with this, because many of the Generation X, the latest generation, the young, high top talents, they want to have a purpose. And I speak to many companies about that. And they tell me that if they can offer, in whatever sector they're active, if they can offer to young, very well educated and great people, if they can offer a job that has a purpose, that is connected to sustainable development, to sustainability, they really catch them with that. If they just offer a basic job without any perspective on that, it's getting harder and harder to make jobs attractive to them, because they are not so much into money. They're of course into money. They're not working for free, but this is an asset they want to see. Then of course, anything that you do in the environmental part will be will support your cost efficiency and will bring savings. If you reduce the materials you use, if you reduce the energy use, if you reduce water use, all those reductions that are extremely important as a first step will bring cost efficiencies. And then, of course, you create not only, or you add to your legal license to operate as a business, you create a social license to operate, because the social license is given to you by society, by the external stakeholders. So if they are supportive to your business activities, and if they understand your decisions, this is what a report can show. In a report, you as a business, you explain yourself. You explain why you're taking decisions one way or the other. You explain your way into the future. You're explaining who are you taking along, who are you creating value for. So what is the purpose actually to bring this into an overview? The dialogue with stakeholders is crucial. The report itself is not an instrument for dialogue because it's basically some 80, 100 pages, and not everyone is keen on reading that. But with all this information, first of all, it's the proof that what you're doing or what you're saying is really what you're doing, because you have data and information in it that proves it. This is the evidence material. And from that, actually, you can go into certain stakeholder dialogues, because not every stakeholder is interested in the same topics of your company or the same issues. So you can pick and choose for the specific stakeholders on how to create a conversation with them to get their support, their understanding, their commitment, their engagement, whatever you need, their involvement. Your stakeholders are crucial. Good stakeholder relationships are crucial for doing good business. So this is something. This is something where you really create a box of topics of content that over the next year, from when you have the report issued, you can create a whole load of activities around those topics and get into engage with your stakeholders. It is a steering instrument for management, because all of a sudden management does not only know financial and technical information and data, they will learn so much more, because you bring in the outside perspective, you bring in the expectations of several stakeholder groups, you bring in your point of actions for certain issues, and you are creating a future perspective on the business. Because business reporting, basically, the business reporting that we know of is that we had so far is historical reporting, and that actually is passed in management. To build a future strategy on historic data is actually not a thing. So what you really need is you need to bring in trends, studies, knowledge from the outside. And really be aware of what is happening around a business. And it's not just the market, it's society. Always understand that it's not everyone is your consumer, but there are driving forces that are not your consumers, but in the market, in society. And then environment, and we will get to that also a little bit more in detail. Environment will be a driver for business or a big barrier, because we are already facing, and this will become stronger, and many businesses can see this already. We are facing environmental change due to several climatic phenomena that are impacting business very harshly. This also goes up to pandemics that we see happening because of we come too close to wildlife, and this is something that has harmed all of us, and we never thought about that before, and now this is here, and we need to tackle it, and it affects business very much if people are not healthy, if they cannot work, if they are scared, and this is something that business needs to be prepared for. We are going to enter the age of crises, and we need to be able to handle crises. There is no way in straight business planning any longer, because it won't work. So this is really something that business can source from. What the business perspective from the inside, but also to the outside, on business reporting, on sustainability reporting and business reporting should be. A business has several capitals, or is working with several capitals. Each business is doing that. There is the financial capital, There is the manufactured capital, everything that is produced, the buildings you own, the machines that are owned, all of the fixed assets. And then business needs, almost all businesses, I would say 99% to this day, need human capital. And human capital in all forms. We need the health of employees, we need the motivations, but we also need their social relationships that are built within the company itself, but also in schools, in communities, in universities, in how do you say, in volunteering clubs, all of that makes us a society that connects us is very important for business, because this is where they source from, this is where humans source from. And then there is intellectual capital that should be fostered and really pampered by each company, because this is what brings innovation, what brings innovative ideas. This is what makes a company differ from others who are just doing, where everyone is just doing their job. So these human capital aspects should really be very, very dear and are most valuable to companies. This is what investors want to see. So what you're seeing on the left side is, what does the investor want to see if they put capital in a company? They want to see how a company is managing those capitals. And then, of course, they want to see how is natural capital managed, because natural capital actually is what we all live from. This is the source of life. It's clean air, clean water, it's natural resources. Some of them are renewable and some of them aren't. And what is this doing to the other, our use doing to the other resources that we need? So in this model, it's called this is the integrated reporting model that you see here, the capital concept. It is really important for companies to show their strategic way into the future by managing all those capitals equally. It's not just about the financial and manufactured any longer. And especially the financial one, we all expect companies to be profitable. If they are not profitable, they're not a company. But they need to show, are they profitable by creating value for other capitals, and how do they manage the other capitals? Are they reducing them constantly, or are they regenerating them, or are they at least treating them in a sustainable way? So this is the purpose of all the sustainability reporting that you will see from now onwards. The time of the marketing reporting is over. What does that mean? The reporting process really means to align value creation with sustainability goals and tell how you are doing it. It's not so much about the what, it's rather the how you're doing that. And the typical reporting process starts, of course, with planning. This is a basic management process: plan, do, check, act, and at the end report. So every year, the company, because we're talking about annual reporting, every year this is the same process that is applied here. What this involves is, at first, the business needs, each business who wants to report for the first time, but also if you're an experienced reporter, this is always the same steps that you go through. Understand your sustainability issues in connection with business activities. There is no such thing as we're doing business the way we're doing it, and then we have some sustainability actions like whatever, planting trees, collecting trash, putting solar panels on our roof or something like that. It needs to be connected. So you need to show the connection to business. What does that do for your business? Why are you doing that? Maybe because your business is already disrupted and you need to do it and change into that direction. So this needs to be explained or understood, at least in the beginning. The next step is to identify your material issues. Please remember that word. I will also get to that, because materiality is the key concept, or one of the key concepts in reporting. So this means actually relevant. or most relevant issues, but the word in reporting for that is material. It's not the material you use, it's material issues, because they are the most relevant and most impactful. Then, of course, from that, once you know that and you are aligned with that understanding, develop a strategic or strategic contributions to sustainability of your business. How can you be successful or working your way into that kind of a sustainable future successfully by creating value, not only financial value or material value, but by creating value for society and for the environment? How can you do that? How do you do it? And this is basically where circular economy comes in at that point, because in a linear system where you take, make, use, and waste, it's very hard to be really, or almost, I would say it's impossible to be really sustainable, because what you're doing is you make things along the line a little bit better here and a little bit better there, and you're doing less harm here and a little bit less harm there. That will not be any contribution to sustainable development as a whole, and you will never become a sustainable business. So whatever you're doing, you should at least at that point start looking into how to close loops, how to bring back value, how to regenerate, and that will, and therefore a circular economy or circular thinking is the best lever we have currently. The integration into the organization then is done by capacity building within the organization. It's a lot of knowledge building. It's a lot of explanation also to the inside of the company, because each and every one needs to contribute. Remember, it's not a job for the sustainability department or the sustainability manager. It needs to be integrated with each one and everyone into their daily work, so that they know what they're doing, why they're doing, and how they're doing. So this will need policies, this will need guidelines, this will need understanding of everyone within an organization. And then we get to reporting, and then we get to communication. Very often the first part is, oh, we need to report and to communicate how great we are. Nevertheless, if that is the starting point, the next step is understand your sustainability issues, take a look at them, a close look at them, and bring in experts. Don't look at them just yourself from the inside perspective, bring in an outside perspective on what is expected of your business to really understand your issues and find a way. This is not about picking and choosing any longer. There are 8 reporting principles. The first one is accuracy. Provide correct and sufficiently detailed information that allows the stakeholders, whether they are investors or they are consumers or customers, or they are authorities that need to see what you're doing and give you a license, to understand your organizational impact. Balance the information. Bring in unbiased information, not marketing speak, not marketing information. You're not selling in this report. This is a report. It's not a sales instrument. You can bring it then later on, you can bring it into sales, but don't put this perspective into the report. Bring unbiased information, present your organization's negative and positive impacts fairly, balanced. There is no company that is perfectly sustainable and everything is beautiful and right. And no one expects companies to do that or to be that, because we all know you are not, business is not, we are all we're not even a sustainable society. So we need to develop that, and we need to move into that kind of a condition. So describe the way you are working your way into sustainability. That is more authentic and more honest. So honesty really here is key, and really bring up the challenges that you are running into, because you definitely will run into challenges, because it's really hard to be sustainable in an unsustainable system. And our system currently is unsustainable because it's a linear system. So this is really something you need to have in mind. Clarity, make all the informations that you provide easily accessible and understandable. Don't use technical language or insider language. Make it accessible to all the stakeholders that you want to provide information here for. So don't provide too much of the information. This is why choosing material topics or defining the material topics is so important. This is putting the attention to the most important issues, because there could be so much to report, but that's like a very chaotic, and it's actually, there is a term for it, it's called carpet bombing, because it's an overflow of information. So don't do that. Keep it easy and understandable, and make it easily accessible on your website. Make it easy to find also. So no one should need to like Google search for more than a second to find your sustainability information. Comparability. You're doing this because others want to compare your performance to others in your sector or other companies in the same industry. So look for standards, for reporting standards and indicators that make this possible, and keep them and explain them and consistently report data, so that also one can see from year to year how your developments are. So do your keep the data filed and use them in the reports. If you start in 2022, then keep them, because in 2023 you may have also already a decline in energy use or other material use. In 2024 it's even less. Maybe in 2025 economy is hitting you, or you're buying another plant or whatever, then it goes up again. Explain that, but really make it possible for everyone to understand how you are developing as a business, and provide this information. Completeness, of course, within the reporting period, which is your business year. Provide information about that business year. Leave out historic data or information because something was really nice the year before or the years before. Of course, you can have a section like history of your company, but do not mix and match information, because it's really important that you stick in the reporting period, and that you report everything that happened there. Don't leave out the negative parts. The sustainability context is important. Report information on the impacts in the context of sustainable development, which of course also includes economic impacts, but not only economic impacts. Always remember that. Yes, it's important how much money you make and but explain how you make your money, how you make your revenues, and please explain who is benefiting from it and how much you invest in actions for sustainable development, sustainable or whatever, green industry. How much do you invest in your personnel, in your staff development? How much do you invest in the community you operate in? So this is provide numbers. This is no soft storytelling. This is about numbers. And timeliness, yes, it's important that stakeholders who need the report, important stakeholders who need your report at a certain point in time of the year, that you provide your report for them then at that point in time. You will see then there are a couple of regulations now for some companies, but definitely this is important to have for the stakeholders of the investors, for example. They would like to see this at the end of the first quarter of a year, mainly for that period. But make sure that you know about it at least, and serve your stakeholders with the information. Verifiability is important, because if you have your report audited or assured by a third party, This will bring you additional credibility for whatever you provide. And so you need, from the beginning on, you need to gather, record, compile, and analyze your information in a way so that it's documented in a way so that it can be examined from a third party. This will help you raise the quality of the report from one to the next. So also reporting is a development, a constant improvement, but this is a factor that will help you. For reporting, there are standards, and the most globally used one is the reporting standards from the Global Reporting Initiative. This is an NGO settled in Amsterdam. It's working internationally in multi-stakeholder processes to develop those standards and to keep them up to date with industry developments. They are based on expectations for responsible business conduct that are set in international organizations like the OECD guidelines or the UN guiding principles on business and human rights or the ISO 26000 and others. So you can fully rely, if you as a business, if you use the GRI standards, you can fully rely that they will give you the guidance to report on topics and indicators that are based not only on international standards, but also on stakeholders' expectations, sector expectations, industry expectations, and also regulative expectations, because GRI is one of the stakeholders in the process who are working on the European sustainability reporting standards. And we expect them to look very, very much like the GRI standards. They could even be the GRI standards. We don't know yet. We will see what the development is here, but this is something that you are absolutely on the safe side with this. And this is not only the consultant speaking here, this is also how should I say, this is the industry expectation. We all expect that the GRI standards will be very, very much the standard that the Commission is using, and the Commission on the other hand is recommending companies to use the standards. So you will be safe with this. The new standards are effective as of January 2023. But are already in use, and it's recommended if you start reporting or if you do your report for this year, please already use those standards. Do not use the former standards any longer. Important to know, reporting is a process. The term sustainability reporting actually refers to the process of reporting. Because it starts with determining your material topics, the organization's material topics, based on the most significant impacts, and it results in publicly reporting information about these impacts. That is the end. And in between, this is sustainability reporting, where organizations report their most significant impacts on environment, economy, people, including human rights. So it would be a good starting point to learn about human rights for now, because as you know, again, regulation is coming here. The supply chain regulation that the EU Parliament is currently looking at. There was a suggestion of the Commission, and we are expecting the Parliament to to confirm it without without great adaptations here. So this is going to be something where companies will be very challenged, because we all have long supply chains in companies, and this is something that can be very extensive. So it's good to start early with that. All the disclosures in the GRI standards contain requirement sections, like this is definitely required, and others are recommendations. if you cannot deliver information on a requirement, explain why you can't. So either this is the comply or explain mode. But of course, for a company to report, it doesn't look really good if the report is filled with explanations why you can't report on that information, or why you can't issue or deliver that information. So again, it's good to bring things onto the ground first and act, and to report on action and not on goals, commitments, wishes, or something that is set in the future, but in reality or in the present, you have to explain why this is not happening. So this does not really look good. But if this is the case, and once companies fall under the directive, under the obligation to report, we will get to that a little bit later, then this can be the report that you have to present. It's like a wishful thinking report. So it's good to start early, to know what you have to do if you have to report. And then external assurance, in addition to internal controls, I mentioned this, is always a verification factor that is important. Along the sustainability management process, which is different from the sustainability reporting, but also for the reporting, it can be really good to include stakeholders or expert panels, like external stakeholders, but also internal stakeholders. So this can also be employees. It depends on the topic, and it depends on the issues that your company has. But to bring in a panel, a committee, a working committee, or whatever you call it, that can provide advice on your approach, on your company's approach to sustainability reporting, and on the information you should report. So this is, to bring in the external perspective, is highly, highly recommended here. It should not be one or two people in the company deciding on that, who know about it. No one is involved. The management ticks the box. That is not what we want to see here, and this is not what is meant by sustainability management or reporting. This is just a picture so that you see how the GRI standards are organized. There are the universal standards, which mean that those indicators, those informations here, have to be covered. This goes for each and every company, no matter what size, no matter what sector they're in. You need to report on all of those indicators. Again, if you cannot report, you need to explain why, but the goal should be to be able to complete all of those indicators in reporting. Then there are sector standards. They are in development currently. The only sector standard that is currently available is for oil and gas, the oil and gas industry, but there will be other industry standards that will be coming out. Up to 40 or 44 standards, sector standards, are in development. And one after another, they will be issued in the weeks and months and years to come. And then there are topic standards. They are already available, all of them. They are selected, the company selects them to report on them according to their material topics. So according to the process of how we and what did we define as material or analyze as material, this is then the standard that you pick, from water to human rights to community development to or engagement to energy efficiency, emissions, whatever topic is material for you, data security, taxes. There is a wide variety on topic standards, and the standard then, this book, each of those books provides you information. This looks very confusing, and it is, this needs to be said in the beginning, quite hard, So you either need a really good team that really only works on that in the beginning, or you get yourself external support with someone or some people who are experts on that and can help you. So because that accelerates the process. Are there any questions so far? Because this would be a good moment. If not, I will just continue with the 4 key concepts here of sustainability and reporting. The first one is impact. Impact is crucial because you need to know as a company what are your impacts on society and on environment. What are your activities, all your from the full perspective of business. So from how your material is sourced, what is happening when it is extracted, how much emissions does it cause, how much social impacts does it have once a material is extracted, is cultivated, whatever is happening. This is impact that is counted to your business, from the emissions to the water use to whatever. And then you have the transport emissions. How does your material come to your production or whatever service you work with or you provide? And then what is happening within the company? How much energy do you use? How much water? How do you treat your employees? How are your governance structures? And then what is happening with your product or service in the use phase once it has left your premises? What is happening in the use phase? What does the product cause there for society, for the environment? Does it cause a waste problem or a waste issue? Does it cause a health issue? What do products and services cause, and what is the end of life scenario of a product? And again, once you have this perspective on all of the aspects, the economic, the environmental, the human aspects, and the human rights aspects of your business, you will learn so much more, and you will see, in many cases, it's really smart to close loops here. Or not only to close loops, but to start rethinking your business, whether it's your business model or its processes or it's the product design itself. You really need to design, think, what are you doing, what are you providing, and what are you causing for others, and what are you providing? Is it a value, or is it something that is actually a harm? And where is the value and where is the harm, and how can you all those potentially negative or positive impacts in short term or long term turn into positive ones? How can you enhance the positive ones and minimize the negative ones over time, whether it's intended or unintended? And those impacts indicate your organization's contribution, whether it's negative or positive, to sustainable development. You should be able to know, is your company, are your activities, and how much are your activities contributing to the European goals? And you know, we have the European Green Deal, the European Community, the states have set the goals to become a more sustainable society, a more sustainable industry, economy here in Europe. And also others, don't think about China or the US, they're also building that. It's just that we are the first continent who's been doing that. So these contributions you need to be able to report on. Are you contributing to the European sustainability goals or the global sustainability goals, or are you affecting them negatively? Are some of your activities a barrier? And this is something, I don't know who of you have heard about the taxonomy yet. This is something that companies now in the taxonomy need to put numbers on. So how many percent of your business is contributing to sustainable development? Now we only have the green taxonomy, the environmental taxonomy so far. But we will get a social taxonomy as well. and there will be measures for governance, no worries. So how much of my business is contributing to those green goals and how much of the business is not? And this is something that needs to be delivered to public authorities and needs to be made publicly available. So this is really for business a new perspective to see how are my business contributions with a number quantitatively measured contributing. So this is really fairly new to many companies. And yes, of course, you need to look into or analyze your impacts because many of them can be related or interrelated. And so multi-solving is the magic word here. If you try to solve issues that you are causing, always look into how impacts are related, because sometimes you may think, oh, this is great, I can solve a problem here, but you're causing a problem in another place. So this is something that needs to be analyzed very closely. There are different impacts. There are impacts on economy at the local, national, or global level through competition practices, procurement practices, taxes, payments to governance. You will have impacts on the environment, one or the other. I would say the impact on the economy is something that refers to each and every company. If you're a company who would not be able to identify any impacts on the economy, I would say you're not a company, you're empty and you should close business. So each company has impacts on the economy. They need to be clear and you need to know what they are. Impacts on the environment, which includes all living beings on this planet, not just humans or not just plants. So all humans and non-living elements like mountains, water, whatever it is. So all of that includes the environment, air, land, water, ecosystems, through whatever you use in energy, the land that you use, the water that you use, other natural resources, and how you dispose of waste materials, or how your consumers, clients dispose of waste materials, impacts, etc., or how your suppliers dispose of waste materials and impacts, because all of that counts into a business activity in sustainability, in sustainable development. And the impact on people, of course, such as individuals, groups, communities. Are there any vulnerable groups? Society at large, and this can refer to human rights through employment practices like the wages you pay, the working hours, your supply chain's working conditions and working hours, or health and safety measures, and of course, whatever your product safety, service safety, accessibility causes. So you can see this is quite an extensive perspective on impacts. Materiality is the second key concept. There are 4, and this is the second one. Most relevant, those are the most relevant topics that represent your most significant impacts on economy, environment, and people, including human rights. Determining what is material is an ongoing identification and assessment of impacts, which means you have to do it again and again and again. Maybe not every year, but every time something changes in your business, or every time something in the environment changes. And as we see, we are living in a very fast changing environment, which also is a business environment and a societal environment. So it's really good to keep this process ongoing and to involve relevant stakeholders and experts here and there. It should be and is conducted independently of the sustainability reporting process, but very often it's the first step, or the sustainability reporting process is the first step when companies start doing that. But that is basically, the materiality process is actually a strategic part of business. And yes, sustainability reporting needs to document or to report on the process. most impacts of an organization's activities, maybe not all, but most of the activities and business relationships will eventually become financially material issues. If your resources get scarce, if you cannot find people any longer, who top people who can work for you, this will become a financially material issue. And this is what you need to report on. How are you managing financially material issues that are in a relation to sustainable development? And to understand these impacts, the necessary first step, therefore, is to determine which financially material issues are there for the company, for the organization. And profit is not a material issue. That profit is the outcome of what you are doing anyway. And hopefully you're doing it so good as a business that profit will be the outcome. So to connect all of those issues with financial impact, that is what is new, or new. It should always been the case, but now it is obligatory that businesses run through this process and document the outcomes. And yes, still sustainability reporting is independent of financial implications, because don't put the financial lens on it. Can we afford this or can we not? The question here is, how big is the risk of ignoring financial sustainability issues, and how big of a sustainability issue will it, of a financial issue will it become if you ignore a sustainability issue? This is the lens you need to put on here. This is presented, the material topics then mainly are presented to this day in a matrix where you put in, where you place them. This may help you. It's not necessary though. It can also be a table or any other documentation, but to this day, this is what many companies still use. It's totally fine if you have the significance of economic, environmental, and social issues also only on one level, without the influence of the stakeholders, because we will get to the stakeholder issue later anyway. But still, it may be interesting for a company to provide this kind of an overview for themselves to work with it. The third part is due diligence. This is a very important and new issue, and you need to report on the process through which the organization has identified, prevented, or mitigated, and how it accounts for actual or potential negative impacts. So whenever you have defined or analyzed an impact, you need to do a process, a thorough process, and document that process. How can you make sure that you are not having any negative impact on economy, environment, or people? And what do you do to prevent it? If there is a negative impact, how do you mitigate it? Or if you have already caused negative impact, how do you account for making up for it? Please use the due diligence guidance for responsible business conduct by the OECD. It's very helpful to get an impression or to get an overview of what is asked from business here. If you don't have due diligence processes in place. Very often due diligence processes so far, if there is a process around already, are for financial due diligence or technical due diligence, or legal due diligence, but this goes further. So if you have a process, then apply it to other topics. If you don't have a process, look into the due diligence guidance by the OECD. And last but not least, there is the stakeholder concert. The key term of stakeholders, those refer to individuals or groups that have interests that are affected or could be affected by your organization's activities. So each and every one your business activities affect, positively or negatively, those are your stakeholders. And you will even have stakeholders who you are not directly affecting, like maybe NGOs, for example, who have an interest in your business activities and who will turn into stakeholders. So this should be a very thorough analysis that should be done either internally if you are in a certain development stage already in the company, but in the beginning it's really good to do this with external support to map all the categories which can vary from business partners to local communities to trade unions to suppliers, and then see how you are already engaged with them. What are your relationships with them? How do you manage them? Are there gaps? Are there stakeholders you have forgot to engage with so far who are important? Identify the relevant ones, the most relevant ones, and be clear who to actually connect with. Because some stakeholders you may only be able to connect with through proxy organizations or representatives like NGOs, for example, for the environment, because you cannot, the environment or wildlife or even next generations, young generations will be a stakeholder. And we could see young generations like Friday for Futures becoming a big stakeholder and a big driver for companies. But who do you connect with? So you will connect with the organization that represents them, or trade unions, for example. So this needs to have a thorough analysis. And in addition to engaging with stakeholders, please consult with experts in specific issues or contexts. This can be academics or also NGOs. They are specialists. NGOs are specialized in certain topics, but can also be consultants, whatever works for you best. For any advice that you need to identify impacts or how to manage them into the future. A stakeholder mapping then can also be visualized, so that you are, so that for you, you have an overview. Who are the ones you need to manage closely? Who are the ones you need to keep informed? Who only need to be monitored and because they are satisfied or quiet? And those are the most demanding ones, how to keep them satisfied. What do they need? Information, interaction or whatever. Regarding the expectations of the future, that is important. I absolutely recommend, like every business is doing that now, all states are doing that. We had 193 states in 2015 committing to these goals, to those 17 goals. We have 169 targets below those goals that states have committed to deliver to those targets and to fulfill the demandings, what is demanded in those targets. Each and every one has to contribute: society, politics, and business. So for business, this is the vision of the future. This is where it is going. This is why we have the Green Deal, because the first two articles in the Green Deal refer to the Sustainable Development Goals that all the European states have committed to. So whatever you find now coming from the Green Deal, all the strategies, all the regulations are designed for the European states and societies and businesses to reach the Sustainable Development Goals and to fulfill our commitment. This is a set, the Green Deal, and we can really be proud to be Europeans, the first continent who has actually a strategy, not just a commitment, but a strategy and a systemic strategy how to transform our EU economy for a sustainable future, and the economy will help us transform society. So this is really a big system. And there are several strategies who are all interconnected, including financing this transition with the finance plan of the EU. With the finance to finance the transition here. So this is something that we will see a lot of this coming, and it is connected to reaching the Sustainable Development Goals. Each and every continent, each and every country in the world has their own strategies. China is having their own. They have a 5-year plan. The USA is working on something. The South American states are working. Even the African states are working on it. And even if we have crises, immediate crises with some countries, because it's like in a family, not every family member we're always happy with, and some of them are really annoying at times. But this is something that overall is the way into the future. No matter what kind of crises on the ground we will have, this is the transformation we will see in the years to come. And it's not only a European one. So the EGD, the European Green Deal, is the roadmap to sustainable economies. It covers all sectors of economy, and very much because those are the most intensive, energy intensive ones and emission intensive ones: transport, energy, agriculture, buildings, and industries such as steel, cement, information and communication technologies, textiles, and chemicals. For those of you who are more interested in this, I will provide you with the slides after this. This is how the strategies are interrelated, how taxonomy is related with the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, how the directive is related to the Sustainable Finance Disclosure Regulation. So this is really an interconnected, interrelated system of strategies and regulations and directives that we will see that are coming, and they are already coming. Just to mention the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, it is meant to change the way companies must disclose and report information on corporate sustainability, because they need to set it in connection with their future strategy and their green strategies, and of course also societal strategies. So this is a directive that applies to listed companies and large companies, for which two out of these 3 criteria apply. So if you are a company with an average of 250 employees or above, and or a net revenue of 40 millions, or a balance sheet of 20 millions, you will fall under the mandatory reporting guideline from the year 2023 year on. So 2023 then will be the first business year to report on. And your report needs to be issued at the beginning, like at the end of the first quarter in 2024. If you are a company that does not fall under this, don't think that you're lucky, because first of all, there are already working groups working on SME reporting, which will be a bit more simplified, but still there will be reporting, and it will come in the next years. And secondly, as a supplier, you will be, if you are a supplier to one of those bigger companies that do report mandatory, they will ask you as a supplier to provide them with information, because, as I mentioned, supply chain issues are business issues. So we will see this having a wide impact on many companies around Europe, but around all countries. So it's really important to create a sustainability strategy, a sustainable business strategy with setting goals, defining the action, making it possible to monitor and measure these actions and the impact of those actions, and to evaluate at some point and always improve, because this is a continuous improvement process. So there is no more a business strategy and a sustainability strategy. Business strategy needs to be sustainable, and business strategy needs to contribute to sustainable development. Or if this is too abstract, to the goals of the European Union, to the European sustainability goals. This is the compass that we need to set here. It needs to be regularly checked. It should be part of the day-to-day activities of each and everyone in the company, and it needs to involve engagement with relevant stakeholders and experts. Companies who are already doing that, they orient themselves at the SDGs. This is for now for many companies around the world, a very good communication instrument to show how and where they are contributing, and where they can or where they have to contribute. Also here, please provide an external, it's not a pick and choose exercise for the company itself, but it's rather the external perspective, and it's an impact perspective. But it's important to then see which ones are the ones we have to contribute because we have the greatest impacts, and which ones are the ones we do contribute or we can easily contribute, quick wins, short term, and what are the long-term ones. So this also is a process that should be supported and done within the management of a company. And those contributions need to be reported on. Next step is to build a reporting team within the company, because we have data owners everywhere in the company, from HR to production to quality to complaint management to of course accounting or controlling. We need a lot of people to provide information here, so building a reporting team in the company and building capacities here, explaining what it is we're doing here, bringing in information here is crucial. They need to be prepared for data collection and how to prepare the data for the sustainability report. This needs to be validated internally. Someone has the responsibility to validate the data. The report structure and the narrative need to be created. What is our sustainability story? What is our purpose? Why are we here? What is the value we are creating? So, and the structure of the report needs to be aligned with the GRI obligations. Then there is, of course, the schedule, the timing, the responsibility that need to be defined. And from the beginning on, there should be a way, always integrated, to give feedback to the reporting for continuous improvement. So make your stakeholders part of the game, invite them, show them and invite them to provide feedback. Is this all you need to know from us? Is there more you need to know? Are there other things that seem to be important? Is this the right way to provide you with information? So also this really needs to be a continuous conversation, and different stakeholders need different ways to give feedback. What makes a good report? If you report on your business model with clarity, comprehensiveness, how you create value, how you disclose potential, your business potential for sustainability across time horizons. So this is not historical. We are not interested in historical issues. We're interested in how are you building your future. Disclosure of your dependencies, of course, and impacts and how they affect business. How sustainability matters link to your business model and your strategy. and your company performance, of course. And please disclose always, this makes a good report, what are sustainability risks and opportunities? How does climate change affect your business? How do demographic issues, how do pandemics affect your business? How do you tackle those crises? Because this is what we want to see. We want to see business that is fit for the future, however this is going to look like. And this is why we want to see future strategies, targets, KPIs, and the progress that you're making. Here's an overview on those key attributes for sustainability reporting information for those of you who would like to dive deeper into this. And last but not least, I have a list of reports here for you. For those of you who would like to know what that looks like, please Google those reports. They are really good practice for business model reporting, and the ones that are printed in bold are actually, because I provided you with both, for reporting on sustainability matters and on business model reporting, but Schneider, ABN AMRO, for example, and NL, and again, you see Schneider here, are in many categories best practice, but also all the others are worth looking into. You will also find the sectors here, the industries. So whatever industry you are from, you can, I'm quite sure that there is one or the other report that you will find to look into and take this as a role model for your reporting. I really recommend looking into reports, into other reports, into recommendedly good reports before you start your own reporting. Please be aware that not every sustainability report that you see is a good report, or that those reports that are around meet those criteria that we are talking here. Many of them to this day are still marketing instruments. So make sure that you go for quality when you start to compare yourself or when you benchmark. That was it from me, and I'm happy to receive any questions that may have come up, and I'm going to stop my presentation here.
Thank you, Karin.
You're welcome. And I can see, I mean, I'd be happy to see you, but I'm also happy to receive questions, also in the chat, so whatever works.
It's really unfortunate that some of those companies that I mentioned, you know, manufacturing companies, are quite busy in these morning hours. So, but maybe I can ask you a question that I got quite a lot from these companies. And these are companies that they're in the first stages of like, developing their strategies and, you know, a more sustainable approach. And actually, the question is, can an organization start with sustainability reporting before they actually have, you know, a strategy in place already? Because a lot of them are quite reluctant to start reporting before they have the strategy. So maybe.
Let me put it this way. The strategy does not need to be completely finalized, I would say. But the elements of the strategy, the impact should be known. The material topics should be defined. You should know about your stakeholders. You should have done the due diligence processes, or you should at least have them in place to know or to gather that information and know where am I causing what. If this is in place, you can already start with the reporting and create the strategy along the lines. You can even report on what you're doing and what you're saying at the time without the strategy, but you need to disclose this in the report. I mean, you know, a report is a report. I mean, it's not doesn't need to be perfect, but you need to be, you need to have the courage then to report. We are working on the strategy. We don't have it yet ready. We are we don't have a supply, we don't have an overview of our whatever 1,000 suppliers yet, or 500 or 10. But this is the goal for the next year, to provide that information. So because in a report, you're always setting goals. And the goal then should be or can be the prioritized meta. And I would say a strategy is a meta that you, but of course it's not necessary. And we will see companies falling under the mandatory reporting in the CSRD who will not have strategies, because they are not ready for it. There are so many companies who are not ready for that at all.
Thank you. So it can only also serve as a a starting point for.
Yes, the report definitely serves as a good starting point for each and every company, because it's almost like a gap report. You can look into what is asked of companies. What does that mean? Sustainability. What kind of data do I need to provide? And then you can start to collect what is there. And along that way, you will see where are the gaps, and how can we close them? And this is a process that needs to be discussed. And along the way, you will find that there are gaps that you will be able to close quickly. And then there will be gaps that will need more people involved, like whatever, you need to create a policy or a strategy, or you need to change suppliers or whatever that is, then that will take a little bit longer or more thorough decisions. And that then can be a goal to bring these results on the ground. So I'm actually a big fan of reporting, to start with reporting even with companies who are not familiar with sustainability, because it will make them familiar with sustainability. And the role of governance in this process is that the top management says, this is what we want, and they provide the resources internally or externally. They provide the time for people who work on that internally, because this is a big obstacle if this is put onto one person's shoulders, because that is not possible. Maybe if it's a very small company, yes, but in any kind of larger companies, no. And that they provide people with the time to build capacity for that, to build up knowledge, because this is needed, because they need to understand what they're doing.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, because that's also what I wanted to point out. When I talk to these companies, those are mostly, newcomers, new employees that know that they have to do something.
They put that onto them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's very important to include top management to empower them. Actually, top management has to have a really important role here.
Absolutely. They need to do the kickoff, actually, because you cannot start reporting in a company without the official kickoff of the management. The top manager needs, whatever it is, intranet, an email, a speech, however that works. It's different, but this needs to be top priority. They need to make the resources possible, and they need to bring everyone on board they need to align them, because the sustainability manager cannot make the HR manager or the production manager cooperate. If they don't want that, because they have so much on their plate anyway, they will not cooperate. So it needs the top management to say, this is important, I want you all to cooperate with that team or that person, because we need to bring out a sustainability report in a certain amount of time, and we are going to develop our organization, because basically sustainability is an organizational development process.
So, yeah, thank you both. You actually answered my question before I even put it out. So yeah, I want to. So maybe this is also that it's important. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's natural that the report.
Absolutely, yes. Because that's a very good point.
Because as a company, we want to be like, we just did something good. It's really hard to say, even in personal level, in business, so much more. This is the field we're not so good at.
Like
like we're kind of, if I say so, ashamed that we're still not, it's our first try and we're not perfect at it.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
That is a big paradigm shift for business. And as you said, individually the same. But I think no one needs to be shameful about that. It's just a fact. We are not a sustainable world. We're not behaving sustainably. We're not living sustainably. We're not doing business sustainably, because so far since World War II, we've only been building up. But that up now has reached the boundaries, and we crossed some of them already. So now we need to like pull the brake, and not to come to a full stop, which would be a complete breakdown. We now need to start to transform and to change. And I think on an individual level, as on an organizational level, there is nothing to be ashamed of. In the need for change. I mean, change is something that's evolution. I mean, we all have to do that once in a while. It's not convenient, but we have to. I mean, this is just life. Life is a constant change, and this is more than a change, because change has a beginning and an end. This is transformation, and we're transforming now. And I think to document or to tell the story of how we transform is a really strong narrative. This is how we transform into the future. It's not so much about what we do wrong and what we do right. It's about how we are transforming, how we are innovating, moving, going forward, how we project our business viability into the future. So this is the story that should be told in sustainability reports. And I think it's a really good narrative for many, not only organizations, but also for the people in organizations and around organizations, that there is a way forward into a better future, not into that catastrophic scenario that we see in the media constantly through everything. I think this is something we need to, where business has a big role to play.
Yeah, and I think this is my opinion, that if we are brave enough, if we are transparent enough, we can also send a message to the decision makers. It's like, okay, yeah, we can't do this, not because we don't know how, but because the policies are not good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
I cannot, because the policies make in such a way that this is impossible to do.
Absolutely.
And like that, I think that more and more businesses and more then are connected, and we can actually, more if there is more than one voice, they tend to listen better.
Yes, and that is also a very big important point that you mentioned, because business needs to be aware. I mean, for the longest time, it was like competitive. We are all, it's like me against everyone else in the market. This transformation that we are seeing here now is not working for one company on its own. So because, as you said, we don't have the regulative structures yet. Politics is always slower than business. Economy is always faster. Business is always faster, quicker, more innovative, and we need to drag politics along. Whereas I have to say, in this very case, European politics is far ahead of many of us, of all the national politics, because they're confronted with other things, and of many businesses. But there are already many businesses who are jumping onto that train, because they're seeing this and they're saying, oops, okay, now the train is already running, but it's kind of slow. I can still jump onto it. If the train gets quicker and gets faster, it's gonna be harder for those who are laggards. So it's really good to see this as an advantage, as an early adopter, to really adopt this. But what we need here is partnerships. You need others, and this is for business also a new learning. Not only we are the greatest and the best, but it's also, we're not yet there where we need to go, and we need others to go along with us. And business is a multiplicator to society, because we also need to bring in the consumers, the employees, the research and development. Business really can have this role of being the multiplicator towards society and politics. Because if politics, you know, they need to tell politicians what they need to make this possible, not what they need to be a barrier for that, because that's what they're telling them anyway, and how to hold back, but what do we need to make this possible? Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, Karin.
For this interesting morning.
Thank you too. I think we'll have to take a short break now.
Yes, I will provide you with the presentation per email if you like. If anyone is interested, I'm happy to share it. And thank you for the invitation, Sebastian and Nina.
Thank you for being with us, Karin.
You're very welcome.
Enjoy the day. See you soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye, everyone.
V redu. In mislim, da lahko zdaj naredimo kratek premor, da se nam pridruži še Urša. Tako da si lahko eno kavo naredimo, preberemo maile, potem se pa čez dobrih 10 minut dobimo nazaj.
Vidimo.
Dobrodošli nazaj. V zadnjem delu našega današnjega seminarja se bomo posvetili vplivu trajnosti in trajnostnega poročanja na lokalne skupnosti. Naša govornica bo Urša Zgoljznik, predsednica okoljske nevladne organizacije Ekologi brez meja, ki je organizirala tudi največjo okoljsko akcijo v zgodovini Slovenije, Čistimo Slovenijo. V zadnjem času pa se intenzivno posveča tematikam zavržene hrane in implementaciji konceptov okrožnega gospodarstva, zero waste, ter vpeljavi trajnostnih korakov v organizacijah. Urša Zgoljznik, še enkrat hvala, da ste si vzeli čas in se nam pridružili, in beseda je vaša.
Ja, hvala lepa za povabilo, vse lepo pozdravljam, upam, da je delovna vnema današnjega dopoldneva velika in da je veliko praktičnih zadev tudi že zaokrožilo med vsemi in da bo to seveda rezultiralo v konkretne korake in tudi v veselje pri trajnostnem poročanju. Ja, jaz bom nekaj besed namenila, torej kako vključevati, pa bom rekla ne javno, ne deležnike, ker to je ta učena beseda, ampak bolj ljudi. Bi pa tole mojo prezentacijo delila, upam, da to lahko naredim. Evo, samo kako potrditi to rabim, da vidite.
Super, vidimo.
Okay, super. Skratka, trajnostno poročanje je, v to se ne bi spuščala nekaj, kar je aktualno vedno bolj, tisti, ki še ne poročajo, pa kmalu bodo. In mogoče za začetek sam pomembna stvar, torej ne izpade to spet samo ena poslovna obveznost. Mi, ki smo pač nevladniki in bolj v tem, kako bi rekla, na terenu, v stiku, v iskanju konkretnosti, dobrih praks in tako naprej, vedno priporočamo, to ne bo prvo pravilo, delati stvari razumljive in človeške. In to bi rekla naj bo izhodišče te moje predstavitve. Kot je že Sebastian torej omenil, prihajam iz društva Ekologi brez meja. Društvo je bilo ustanovljeno leta 2009 z namenom, da torej organiziramo akcijo Čistimo Slovenijo. Tisti, ki ste bili zraven na tak ali drugačen način, še vedno en velik hvala, gre pač za eno najbolj množičnih oziroma najbolj množično okoljsko akcijo v zgodovini Slovenije, znotraj mreže Let's Do It oziroma World Clean Up je zdaj, so skoraj vse države sveta, smo še vedno rekorderji, ker smo leta 2012 dosegli 14% vključenost prebivalstva v ta projekt. Ampak jasno, to je aktivacija. In zdaj, zakaj to posebej izpostavljam? Zato, ker je takratno, v vseh teh akcijah, takratno zanimanje za podjetja bilo tudi precejšnje in za čuda še danes, še letos, se veliko podjetij oglasi in nas prosi, da jim pač zorganiziramo čistilno akcijo, ker je to eden izmed načinov druženja, team buildingov in tako naprej. Mi smo seveda takrat rekli, da tak vseslovenski prostovoljski projekt zorganiziraš, je potrebno ogromno truda, ogromno ur vloženih. Tudi seveda neki stroški nastajajo, ampak smo rekli, nič, mi se bomo lotili odpadkov tam, kjer nastajajo, torej na začetku. In od tu v bistvu naša neka krovna vizija, mi rečemo svet brez odpadkov, seveda je to iluzija, ampak pelje nas pa naprej v tem korakanju. Naslavljamo potem projekte, kampanje, karkoli počnemo iz vira odpadkov, naprimer čist po frakcijah gledano, ali je to papir, ali je plastika, ali je odpadna hrana. In z vidika, katera celica se naj ukvarja s tem odpadkom. In tukaj pridemo potem do podjetij, do javnih zavodov, do držav, do občin, do česarkoli pa že. In ko to dvoje združiš, lahko v bistvu delaš zelo konkretne stvari, seveda v nekem prvotni analizi stanja. Zdaj ne bom razlagala vse, katere projekte smo ves ta čas že oddelali, katere še imamo na vidiku, ampak ves čas smo tudi močno sodelovali s podjetji. V zadnjih 2-3 letih pa vedno bolj na način, tukaj se malo ne vidi, ampak vedno bolj na način nekega svetovanja, priprav strategij, tudi izobraževanja, komuniciranja, ozaveščanja, poslovnih partnerjev, zaposlenih, ali pa tudi širše. Tako da tukaj smo zdaj precej aktivni in lani smo v bistvu zasnovali zaradi različnih vzrokov, mogoče jih tudi povem, akademijo, ki sicer to ni, v resnici je bolj mala šola, ampak ima idejo akademije, Torej, kako upeljati trajnostno strategijo v podjetje in se izogniti napačnim rešitvam. Ob vseh svetovanjih in sodelovanjih smo namreč ugotovili eno stvar. Torej, trajnostno poročanje, trajnostna strategija je, pa bom rekla pred 3-4 leti, bila nekaj, kar je česar so se predvsem lotila najbolj ambiciozna in celo največja podjetja. Največkrat se je to dogajalo kot nek tempo, ki ga je neka korporacija oziroma neka filiala na svetovni ali pa mednarodni, evropski, katerikoli ravni se lotila in potem je to seveda tudi slovensko podjetje bilo primorano ali želelo nastaviti. In zdaj kako začeti? In zdaj rabimo meso. Zdaj eno so seveda čisti podatki, eno so seveda razne analize in načini, kako bomo pač šli proti nekemu cilju, ampak kako to narediti živo? In potem so podjetja klicala nas, in pač dobesedno, a nam lahko pomagate, mi to delamo, pa dela to tim, tam so 3 ženske, ki bi pač želele to spraviti v življenje, v roku enega leta, kaj naj naredimo. In v resnici je izrazito dvignilo povpraševanje po delavnicah, po izobraževanjih, po ozaveščanjih, po nekih načinih, kako to pripeljati torej do vsakega zaposlenega. In iz tega razloga, plus naslednji problem, ki se je kazal, je to komuniciranje, torej čisto komunikacijsko naslavljanje teh zadev, da pridejo stvari med ljudi. Iz teh 2 razlogov smo mi potem zasnovali to akademijo, in moram reči, da so kar dobri odzivi. Seveda s tem ne napišemo trajnostne strategije in s tem ne odporočamo, ampak naredimo pa marsikaj, da se to lažje počne in je del prakse. Tukaj bi opozorila na eno stvar, ker o trajnosti se precej govori, pred leti so celo kolegi iz okoljevarstva trdili, da je to eden najbolj zlorabljenih pojmov. Širše v družbi bi rekla, da je še bolj zlorabljena beseda zeleno, ker na koncu koncev nima definicije in ne vemo, kaj naj pravzaprav to pomeni. Od tega ven imamo tudi veliko zelenega zavajanja. Ampak če se vrnem ob vseh pojmih, zeleno, bio, eko, krožno, kljub vsemu je trajnostni razvoj najbolj dodelana definicija, ki je tudi najširša v smislu zadovoljevanja vseh vidikov družbe. Torej, ko govorimo o trajnosti, ne govorimo samo o okolju, drugi steber je družba oziroma človek in seveda tukaj je tudi gospodarstvo. Torej, uravnovešenje vseh teh 3 stebrov in vidikov pomeni trajnostni razvoj. In torej tudi trajnostna strategija, trajnostno poročanje mora to zajemati. Jaz sem prepričana, da to veste, ampak v praksi se pa čisto preveč, zdaj konkretno v praksi, ko govorimo o trajnostni strategiji in trajnostnem poročanju, se pa kaže, da je velik poudarek na nekih ekonomskih kazalcih, na analizah, na podatkih, kar bi rekli, da naslavljamo steber gospodarstva, ekonomije. Seveda se potem tudi gledajo ti okoljski vidiki, torej naslavljamo okolje, se pa celo malo pozabi na družbo, kar pomeni, če smo v podjetju, potem v resnici naslavljamo vse ljudi, s katerimi smo v stiku. In zdaj za nalašč rečem ljudi in ne poslovne subjekte, ker na koncu se izvajanje vedno zgodi na ravni človeka. Zdaj, mogoče malo drugačen graf, pa se mi zdi vseeno pomemben, ker vpeljuje nekaj novega. Torej, sfere družbe v grobem, to je res v grobem povedano, so pač nek ta javni del, torej, ki se razdeli med državo kot sistemom in skupnostjo, kjer je pač entiteta recimo občina, entiteta je konec koncev tudi podjetje, entiteta je katerakoli neformalna oblika združevanja, trg, vmes imamo pa še nekaj, to je pa sfera civilne družbe, na katero se pa tudi pri teh trajnostnih načinih dela precej mnogokrat pač pozabi. Torej, kateri bi zdaj naj bili deležniki, ko govorimo o trajnosti v podjetjih? Zdaj, prve 3 točke nisem se zmotila, ni to napaka, ampak zaposleni. Mislim, da se vsi strokovnjaki strinjajo, da lahko te trajnostne vidike spravimo v prakso in smo uspešni, samo kadar imamo za sabo zaposlene, ki v to verjamejo. Seveda to ne gre iz danes na jutri, to se ne more zgoditi na način, mi bomo zdaj to napisali, tukaj imate dokument, vi morate to izvesti. Seveda, to je precej kompleksen del po svoje, ne? Tu je čisti vidik družboslovja, ki je precej zanemarjen tudi pri tem okoljevarstvu in naslavljanju podnebnih problemov, okoljske krize in tako naprej. Torej, razumeti je treba, da se bo sprememba zgodila v človeku. Lahko seveda pod prisilo, ker človek dobi na mizo, ne, to je zdaj plan, realiziraj ga, ne, napiši poročilo do takrat in takrat, ampak je spet, ne, to bomo oddelali, uspešno ali pa malo manj uspešno, ampak kakšen je zares učinek, je vprašanje. In tu je v resnici delo z zaposlenimi, včasih marsikdo bo mogoče pritrdil, ne, lahko zelo naporno, je dolgotrajen proces in se mi zdi zelo pomembno, da se to zavedamo. Recimo nek kazalnik, ne, ki se tu meri, no, pa vem, da je v preteklosti bil kar nek wording o tem, ne, je zavzetost zaposlenih. Ne, in v bistvu v Sloveniji nimamo zelo spodbudne slike, kar se tega tiče. To pomeni, kako strastni so ljudje pri svojem delu, ne, ali res z veseljem hodijo v službo. Ne, in to seveda ni zdaj samo to trajnostno poročanje, ampak gre za kompletno klimo, kako so zadovoljene njihove potrebe, ali so nagrajeni, ali se dobro počutijo. Ker samo, če bodo te osnovne potrebe njihove zadovoljene in bo njihova pozicija udobna, bodo sposobni narediti nekaj več. Zdaj pa pri svojem delu sem srečala kar precej različnih ljudi, od nemotiviranih do tistih, ki so precej motivirani za vse te teme, ne, in lahko rečem to, ne, da tisti, ki so bili zelo motivirani pri tem delu v službi, ne, torej so bili zelo motivirani tudi v prostem času. Ne. Postavljajo vprašanja, ne, recimo, joj, veš, zadnjič smo pa šli kupiti z vrečkami sadje, torej lastnimi vrečkami iz tekstila, pa je tam trgovka rekla, ne, to pa mi ne dovolimo in me je ful prizadelo. Ne, mislim, popolnoma človeške in življenjske zgodbe ven letijo in to so vprašanja, ki njih motivirajo. Zdaj, kako to narediti, ne? Sej mehanizmi so tukaj potem precej jasni, torej vsekakor tek na dolge proge, splača se narediti tudi načrt dela z zaposlenimi, zato da bodo vključeni, da bodo verjeli v to in da bodo na koncu opravili svoje delo. In tu so pač delavnice, ozaveščanje, družbena odgovornost, projekti, da pač naredijo nekaj dobrega, tudi ne nujno samo z področja okolja, prispevajo. Naslednja točka, no, kjer se bomo stavila, so te faze. In se mi zdi, da tukaj, če boste imeli kdaj občutek pretiravanja, torej da se preveč ukvarjate z zaposlenimi, to sigurno nikoli ni preveč. Ne. Torej, posvetite se temu in boste vsi v bistvu precej bolj uspešni in zadovoljni. Seveda potem deležniki, ne, so poslovni partnerji, ne, dobavitelji, znotraj pač neke branže, ne, druga podjetja. In tu je tisti moment, kjer lahko mi dobivamo nove ideje, kjer širimo ideje, kjer širimo miselnost, ne, in ko se začnejo ti poslovni partnerji odzivati, dobivaš spet nazaj veliko več, kot si pa mogoče prej dal. No. In tukaj mi je v resnici zelo všeč primer podjetja Iskra Emeko. Oni so v bistvu res ena taka zelo, zelo svetla točka Slovenije v tem smislu, kaj vse počnejo, ne, z vidika trajnosti in krožnega gospodarstva. In oni so danes v točki, kjer želijo, torej, to jim je prioriteta že, širiti svojo miselnost med svojimi partnerji in njih zavezati, da bodo torej tudi oni stopili na to pot. Ne. Mnogokrat se pozabi na kupce, ne, ker pač v ekonomskem smislu se zelo vse skupaj jemlje, pač prodaja kot nek kazalnik, prihodki BDP, ne, in je ta angažiranost ljudi, ne, ki so ti zvesti, ki ti sledijo, pač od katerih si konec dneva odvisen, spet, ne, kako se krepijo blagovne znamke, so tudi momenti in tudi tam, ne, je možno nekaj dati in nekaj dobiti. Torej, testiranja, ne, različni tudi, ne vem, kampanje, ozaveščanje in na to vse danes potrošniki, ne, če rečem tako, čeprav te besede zelo ne maram, bom rekla državljani, trznemo. Danes je poplava vsega, ne? In ko vidiš, da nekdo nekaj več počne, ti lahko da velik prispevek k temu, ne, s svojim feedbackom, da dobiš tudi tu nekaj vsebine. Mreže se mi zdi dosti podobno kot poslovni partnerji, ampak se splača biti v mrežah. Bi pa naslovila tudi tole, družbena odgovornost. Ne? Zdaj mislim, da nam je že vsem jasno, ne, da tale podnebna kriza je tukaj. ampak ni nam pa še jasno, da družbena odgovornost ne pomeni samo tukaj imamo eno malho sponzorskih sredstev in to bomo mi namenili športnikom, pa ne vem, humanitarnim organizacijam in smo svoje opravili. Napredna družbena odgovornost danes ni več to, ne. Pomeni sodelovanje z lokalnim okoljem, sodelovanje z skupnostjo, dejansko iskanje najšibkejših. In ko govorimo zdaj o okolju, ne, pri nas ni nobene tradicije v bistvu delati na tem, da bi izboljševali v resnici nekaj v okolju, oziroma obstanemo na čistilnih akcijah, pa po novem na sajenju dreves. Ampak kakšen je zares učinek vsega tega, ne? Seveda sajenje dreves je super akcija, ampak treba je na dolgi rok spet splanirati vse skupaj, ne? In ne ponavljati vsega tega non-stop. Torej gre tudi za to, kako mi motiviramo širšo skupnost, zato da lahko potem dobivamo neke ideje in seveda imamo potem v trajnostnem poročanju, v tem smislu, veliko vsebine in mesa. Torej, trajnostno poročanje bi rekla, ali pa pač vsako poročanje je, jaz ga razumem kot nek konec enega procesa, ne? Ampak vse, kar mi naredimo prej, je veliko bolj pomembno. In ko govorimo o deležnikih, je pa zdaj enako, več ali manj, bom rekla, zelo posplošujem sicer, ampak na ravni držav, na ravni podjetij, ne? Več ali manj tudi zaradi dostikrat pomanjkanja časa, ker je pač premalo ljudi vključenih, a ne pridemo do tega, mi smo napisali poročilo, objavili smo ga na spletno stran, poslali smo ga vsem in smo svoje delo opravili. To je premalo, ne? Sploh, če mi želimo rasti, če želimo spreminjati, če želimo biti učinkoviti, a ne, da pač se stvari gradijo, ne, da bomo imeli 5 let zaporedoma, super, imamo neko trajnostno poročilo, ne, ok, super, ekonomske kazalce smo izboljšali, okoljski vidiki so se izboljšali in potem samo malce spreminjamo te številke, ampak jaz mislim, da s tem zadovoljstvo močno začne potem padati, ne. Torej, na ravni države pa zelo podobno, ne. Danes imamo v resnici pripravo zakonov, ne, se pač zakon pripravi, da v javno obravnavo, ali pa projekt se pripravi, da v javno obravnavo in se pač predstavi. Nimamo dvosmerne komunikacije, pa bom spet rekla, skoraj z ljudstvom, ne, torej z ljudmi. Vključiti je potrebno, zdaj pa spet nazaj, deležnike v fazo informiranja, ne. Torej, mi želimo tole narediti tako. Kako se vam zdi? Ali imate kakšne ideje? Delamo delavnice, delamo posvete, delamo takšne dogodke in takšne, in se gremo tak proces, torej, da je čim več nekega feedbacka, ne da samo mi dajemo enosmerno ven, kaj smo si zastavili, ne. Potem, ko pridemo v te strateške pristope, a ne, zadnjič, no, recimo sem konkretno z enim podjetjem sodelovala, kjer bodo zdaj, seveda so se lotili trajnostne strategije, ampak tam so zares 3 ženske bile imenovane, ki poleg vsega svojega dela, ne, morajo tudi to pripraviti. In so bile precej obupane, ker jim to področje ni precej dobro znano, no, in so se pač obrnili na zunanje, recimo temu svetovalce. In kar smo najprej rekli, ne, zdaj razbijte, ne, zakaj bi mogli vse vi 3 narediti? Dajte to enemu oddelku, drugemu oddelku, tretjemu oddelku. Naj vsak malce skrbi prevzame in naredi svoj del, ki ga potem vi lahko zložite v celoto, a ne. Potem seveda, ko se nekaj naredi, je potrebno pregledati, je potrebno revidirati, je potrebno preučiti, a smo s tem vsi zadovoljni, ne? Ne, da nekdo to spiše, pa pač izvršni direktor potrdi in smo pač zaključili in pospravili v predal. S tem ne bomo zadovoljni na dolgi rok, absolutno, ne. Torej, non-stop je treba vrteti to, ker zdaj pa iskreno, ne, ozaveščanje je v bistvu tek na dolge proge in je v resnici edini način, da se stvari spreminjajo. Ozaveščanje je podobno izobraževalnemu procesu. Ozaveščanje pomeni, da je potrebno sosledno graditi stvari. Ozaveščanje ni samo en članek, ozaveščanje ni samo en dogodek, ne, in je treba non-stop tudi tukaj se iti kroženje, ne. Torej, ko nekaj naredimo, se spet vrnemo nazaj k primarni skupini. A smo zadovoljni? Dajte feedback, vključite njihove zadeve. No, in če zdaj ves čas to počnete, ne, seveda jaz razumem, da je to veliko težje, kot pač nastaviti dokument, predati naloge, spiši, bomo zapakirali in dali v oblikovanje. To je najlažji način, ne. Ampak, če se lotimo tega procesa, postanemo tudi sami v bistvu bolj vitalni, postanemo bolj motivirani in lahko gradimo te zadeve, ne. Kar bi pa tudi rekla, no, da sem opazila mnogokrat, torej zanemarjanje, rečemo mnogokrat teh mehkih vsebin, ne. Torej izobraževanja, različne take promocije, govorim bolj interne, seveda akcije, ne, neke dogodki, team buildingi, predvsem usposabljanja na področju komuniciranja. Sej ljudje ne vejo vseh stvari. Včasih zelo enostavne stvari je treba povedati, ne, in niso vse stvari vsem jasne. Torej, ne rabimo ne vem kakih strokovnjakov in ne vem kakšnih misli, da lahko to počnemo. Torej, ne pozabiti na ta del in tudi, ko odporočamo, ne, zakaj bi se bali te teme v bistvu vključevati. To je enako pomembno in trajnostno poročanje, katerokoli poročanje je lahko zbir podatkov, ampak na koncu to berejo ljudje z namenom, da pač nekaj naredijo, spremenijo, da vidijo za nazaj, a je bilo nekaj uspešno ali ne. Tako da prav na noben način ne pozabiti, torej vključevati ljudi in tukaj je, zdaj bom pa rekla, kreativnost, tisti hashtag, ključni faktor, ki vas lahko popelje kamorkoli. Tole bom kar preskočila. Tukaj se mi zdi en tak dober primer, no recimo Ekologi brez meja smo del Zero Waste Europe skupnosti, ki deluje zelo odprto, no, in seveda tudi Zero Waste je precej povezan s krožnim gospodarjenjem, s trajnostjo. Zero Waste seveda ne pomeni dobesednega prevoda in se tudi ta del vse bolj preliva tudi v nek, bom rekla, biznis svet, ne. In ta skupnost pomeni to, ne, da se pač znanja prelivajo, ne, da se pač dobre prakse izmenjujejo in tukaj je potem možno črpati marsikaj, ne. Zato so te mreže pomembne. Pa mogoče čisten tak zelo preprost primer, na spletni strani manj je več, so karte mojstrov, karte Zero Waste trgovin. In zakaj to kažem? Zato, ker je tale zemljevid, ne, to je zemljevid, ki mu rečemo karta mojstrov, no, kjer ljudje sporočajo, kje v njihovem kraju je kdo, ki zna karkoli popraviti, poservisirati. To je zelo zanemarjen vidik krožnega gospodarstva, ne, torej popravila, ponovna uporaba. In če imaš zdaj orodje, ne, torej orodje rabimo, da ti ljudje prispevajo, imaš v resnici potem tudi en dober mehanizem, da se lahko izmeriš, kako uspešen si, pa še angažiral si veliko množico posameznikov. Torej, s tem zemljevidom naslavljam, ne, če želimo delati z ljudmi, rabimo pa kljub vsemu mreže pa dobra orodja. Jaz sem pri kraju, bi vse zbrane nagovorila še s tole sliko, malce komično, ampak želim vam, da naj ta dogodek pomeni resen premik tudi pri vašem delu in naj ne bo zgolj eno zasedanje in pametovanje nas predavateljev v smislu, kako bomo nekaj spremenili, a ne, ampak naj bo v bistvu motivacija za konkretno delo naprej.
Najlepša hvala.
Tule še moj kontakt, če bi se karkoli komu zdelo naknadno vredno deliti z mano ali poprašati. Tako da hvala lepa.
Super, najlepša hvala, Duša Zgojznik, za tole dimenzijo v bistvu trajnostnega poročanja, ki se ne konča in začne samo s tem dokumentom, ki ga na koncu izdamo, ampak seveda je treba tukaj, da je to en tak proces, ki se nikoli ne konča, da je treba se ves čas vključevati, poslušati svojo skupnost, poslušati svoje zaposlene. In ja, zelo lepa predstavitev. Mislim, da lahko s tem tudi počasi zaključimo današnje druženje. Nina Kovačič bi mogoče vi še povedala kakšno zadnje sporočilo, poslovilno.
V bistvu jaz se vsem zahvaljujem in vas vabim, da se udeležite potem še 3. srečanja. V bistvu pa ja, dajmo vsi nekaj na tem narediti, ne. Vsak pomalo in tako, kot je Urša tudi rekla, pri tem kar in potem se lepo zložijo v bistvu vse kocke skupaj, ne. Predvsem pa ne se bati tega multidisciplinarnega povezovanja. Hvala.
Hvala.